If you have ever thought about playing keys for your church's worship team, but you're not exactly sure where you stand, this video today is for you. I'm hoping by giving you this honest checklist that a lot of people are not going to tell you, you're going to see where you stand, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some things to work on if you're not there already, or you may be more ready than you think you are. So stay tuned in and let's get into it. Hey guys, I'm Tyler Bowles back here with Heart of David Music Academy. I hope you're all doing well out there. I just wanted to take a few minutes today, and this is not going to be anything where I'm going to be playing, unfortunately. So if you've come here to watch me play, unfortunately you'll have to tune in on the next one. This is something I want to talk to my musicians that are looking at getting into their bands and their churches. I've had quite a few inquiries about this, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it for a few minutes. A lot of people think that whenever you are playing with your church band, it's about knowing all these flashy chords and being able to go all the way up and down the keyboard or on the up and down the neck on the guitar or whatever the case is. They think that they need to be like this amazing player to be able to be on their church band, and I've just simply come here to tell you today that is just not true. But whenever you're talking about playing in a church band, it's talking about playing consistently, being able to have chemistry with your band. These are things that nobody really tells you about, but they're very important. So I'm going to give you a checklist today. So maybe you were in a situation where you're like, man, I've been playing, I've been learning, and I feel like I'm ready to take on the opportunity of playing with my church band. So let me go through this checklist with you, and let's just see exactly where you stand. Now, ironically enough, I know I just said it wasn't all about being able to play flashy chords and being able to play all over the place, but this actually, the very first step here, this first check that you can check off your list. In other words, can you play them without thinking about it? Do you know the difference between a major and a minor chord or a diminished chord, depending on what kind of environment you're playing in? If you're playing in the CCM world where you're playing a lot of Hillsong, Bethel, Maverick City, and some of Elevation Worship's kind of even diving into the gospel scene a little bit. But if you're just like bare bones CCM, do you know your major chords? Do you know your minor chords? Do you know your passing chords or your slash chords, as I've referred to them here before? Those are absolutely crucial, and you've got to be able to play those. If you're playing in a gospel setting, you need to understand what a diminished chord is, what some augmented 7 chords are, how to be able to borrow from one key and move it into another, and being able to create passing tones and movements and being able to play chords with melody lines. These things are crucial at being able to say, okay, I can play with my band. And obviously, it's going to depend on your situation. It's going to depend on the kind of church that you go to and the music that you play. So that area is going to be a little bit different for everybody. Okay, next thing, and this is a big one. Can you play without stopping? Can you keep time? So in today's church, most churches have started to progress in a way where they're playing with click tracks or some sort of metronome, because that's what's going to keep the band in time. And as churches progress and as technology progresses, you as a musician also have to begin to move in that realm and actually be able to progress as technology progresses, right? So if you've never tried to play a song to a metronome, go do that. Because I promise you, if you've never done it, it is so different, and it's going to take some adjusting. It's not impossible. Churches do it every week. I do it every week. Our church runs tracks and stems and everything, and it took some getting used to. However, it is absolutely doable. So if you've never done it, and maybe you're struggling at first, keep at it, because I promise you it's doable. You just have to get used to it. And I'm going to tell you a story here, and this is just from my experiences. So if you don't know, I am actually a worship pastor. So not only do I play keys, but I also lead worship as well. So this is kind of a story that encompasses all of that. So this was going on about, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years at this point. This is when we upgraded our sound system. We had like a really old analog system, and now we're moving everything into the digital age, right? Like we got digital mixers. We're going to start running tracks, all the things. If you only would have seen the look on my band's faces, on my praise team's faces when I told them, hey, we're going to start playing, we're going to start singing with a metronome going in our ears the whole time. The looks that I got was hilarious. Now, when I first started researching it, I had that same look on my face. So I had already practiced with it. I was already comfortable with it before I proposed it to my team. That being said, before you go to your worship pastor, if you're wanting to learn how, or if you're already playing keys and you want to get on the team there, already be familiar, be learned, be proficient and efficient. You want to be able to do this and not really think about it. And just to go further into that story, I had to work with my team for months on this. So I was already familiar. I was already comfortable. We started implementing it. We practiced it for months. And there were some people who were absolutely, you could tell, like, they wanted to be supportive of the vision. They wanted to be supportive of the mission, but you could just tell the looks on their faces are like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Nobody left the praise team, mind you. So all of these people, and this particular person I'm talking about is still on the praise team. But it's funny because now that time has passed and we've traveled places and we've been in services where we haven't had access to run our click or to run our stems. And you can tell that whenever we don't have it, like the look on their faces are like, oh my gosh, something is missing, right? So once you get used to it, it gets hard to do things without it. Because especially, so say your journey doesn't stop whenever you make it to your worship team. Maybe you decide you want to go and be an aspiring studio session musician. Well, guess what? When you start playing on records, they're going to play to a metronome. So like, it's crucial to be able to learn this skill and be to a point with it where you can do it and not think about it. All right, now this next one, I might ruffle some feathers in the black church. I'm just hear me out on this, guys. The next one is, can you play in all 12 keys? And there's a little bit of a caveat with this. So, am I an advocate of being able to play in all 12 keys? 100%. I think if you have the means to do it and you have the time to sit down and learn it, absolutely. If you are going for a paid position that is more than just like a $50 check, I'm talking like if it is a huge supplement to your income, or maybe it's enough to where you can quit your job and then be able to play music full time, I think it's non-negotiable. You should be able to play in all 12 keys. And here's the reason why I say that. So if somebody is trusting me enough to not just pay me like a little, and I say little $50, that's big for some churches, and I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, if somebody's paying me something substantial, that means they are trusting me. And I don't want to betray that trust because I'm lazy. Now, this is where I said it might ruffle some feathers a little bit. In the white church, I'm just going to call it as it is. Is this going to be politically correct? Absolutely not. But in the white church, there is this stigma. There is this preconceived notion that like all musicians should be volunteer. I've seen it. I've grown up around it. And unfortunately, when you have this preconceived notion, whether you realize it or not, and I'm talking to pastors out there who may be listening to this, obviously, if the church can only do so much, I get that. Obviously, you need to be wise. You need to be a good steward of God's money. I'm not saying to do something crazy, but you will find that when you can do better and you choose not to, the caliber of people that you're going to get for that position is not going to be as high caliber as if you were paying. Let's just be honest. But that is why, in the black church, for example, it seems like every black church you go to, those boys and girls can absolutely shred on their instruments. But it's because there's such a high standard, and many of these musicians are paid, and they're sometimes referred to as gigging musicians. Like, that's what they do for a living. They play in church on Sunday. They may go play in venues throughout the week. Like, that's what they do. But it's because of the fact that it's their craft. It's what they do. It's how they get their livelihood. The caliber of musician that you're going to get out of that is going to be far greater than if you just expected everybody to volunteer. Now, Here's kind of where I differ in some areas. So say, for example, it's volunteer, or it's kind of one of those things where like they may pay you, but it's once every blue moon kind of thing. If that is the case, do I think you need to play in all 12 keys? Again, if you have the capability to do it, yes. However, I also understand that this is not your full-time job. This is not something that you can sit and do for 8 hours a day and constantly get better and constantly learn new things and progress. Like, I understand that we have lives outside of work. We have lives outside of church. We have family. We have friends and social gatherings. Like, I understand that you may only be able to dedicate a few minutes a day to practicing something or running through scales or whatever the case is. So, all that being said, if you're in that bubble that I'm talking about, do I think you need to learn in all 12 keys? If you can, yes. If you don't have the ability to be able to do that right now, I would say as long as you have like a good 3 to 4 keys under your belt, you're golden. Because most pianos in churches nowadays have a transpose button. This is, I can feel the judgment from some of the people, from some of the people watching this, because some people like refuse to hit the transpose button, and I get it. Like, if you're gonna do it right. I get the argument. Like, if you're gonna do it 100%. I get it. However, we live in a day and time where if you're trying to help your church out and your church doesn't have the capabilities of being able to pay people, and maybe the music department is suffering and you feel like you have something to offer, like, don't neglect your church just because you don't feel like you can play like a concert pianist and be able to play in all 12 keys. Like, as long as you have a somewhat decent foundation in a couple different keys, I'd say 3 to 4, I'd say you're fine. You can check this one off your list. Hopefully that didn't cause a bunch of people to tune out and totally turn away because I just made them mad. But that's the ongoing. You'll find if you play keys for any span of time, that's always going to be an argument that you are going to hear is transposing versus non-transposing, learning in all 12 keys. It's an argument that will continue until Jesus comes back, and I'm aware of that. Okay, next thing here kind of ties into what we just talked about with learning in all 12 keys. The next thing, and this is really important, me as a worship pastor, if I'm bringing somebody to my team, this one here is almost non-negotiable. Do you at least know the Nashville number system, like just a little bit? I'm not saying that you have to be so proficient that, like, if I go, all right, 6 and C, A, 4 and D, G, like, I'm not saying you got to be able to just call them out like that. Because, like, if you can pull up chord charts, and I get it. Again, it goes back to, I understand that this is not everybody's full-time deal. You have to work with what you have. That being said, I don't even do this full-time. I've just been doing this a while. I'm going on 13 years now, almost 14, of leading worship, playing piano. So I've been doing this a while. This is not something that I've been doing for the last year. So the skills that I've learned, if I would have had the time that some people have where this is their only job, I probably could have done it in half the time. However, I'm not going to rehash what we just talked about. There are reasons as to why I can't dedicate that much time to this yet. I'm hoping that'll change. But me as a worship pastor, the reason why that is so important for you to be able to know the number system is sometimes vocalists are sick, or maybe because they were sick, their vocal cords are not recovered, so maybe we have to change keys. And if you're so fixated on just learning chords and not understanding how they work in the scale, you're not going to be able to change keys very effectively. Or if you have songs that modulate, so like my church, for example, we do songs that modulate. If you don't know what modulate means, that means it'll go up from one key to the next. It may go up a half step, whole step, whatever the case is. But say you already have a song that modulates, and then you have to change keys again because of what I just mentioned. Now you're having to like put all these pieces together of like, okay, well then if this modulates to this, then this is going to be this, and this is going to... As long as you know the number system, you can move anywhere, and you'll be totally fine. Not saying you have to be a total like professional master of it, but at least have a good concept of it. All right, next thing. Are you playing with both of your hands? I did a video on this last time talking about what to do with the left hand, but you'd be surprised how much flavor and how much flair it can add just from being able to do things independent left hand and right hand. So me personally, I like to chord with my left hand and then do runs and solos and stuff with my right hand, depending on what kind of song we're doing. But that's going to take somebody that sounds beginner and amateur into the intermediate and advanced in their playing is, can you do things independently with both your hands? Your left hand, it doesn't have to be complicated, but it needs to be doing something. Even if it's just playing roots and playing octaves. It at least adds something and it's not just sitting there not doing anything. All right, next one, and this is important. Can you listen and adjust while you're playing? And this goes to the very beginning of the video when I was talking about being able to play with the band and having chemistry, those things, being able to play consistently. And I will give you some examples here. So I have played in multiple different churches, multiple different venues, and we've all played the same songs, but they all were played differently. What do you mean by that? Here's what I mean. Especially if you were in a church, like I grew up in the Pentecostal church, I still lead worship in a Pentecostal church. In churches like that, you have to be able to flow. You have to be able to listen to what is going on. You have to listen to the dynamic changes. It's important. So just because one church may play the same exact song one way, you may go somewhere else and it be played something totally different. Or you rehearse it one way, and then when it comes time to do it in service, the Spirit starts moving and things begin to happen, and you need to, and I've talked about it before, you need to be able to adjust and be conducive. So that is huge. Can you not only play, but can you listen and can you adjust to what is going on? Sometimes things do not go according to plan. And if you're my team and you're listening to this or watching this, you're probably laughing right now because it's almost like my motto that almost all the time something unplanned happens, and they're great with being able to follow, because sometimes, you know, like I said, the Spirit can get to moving in a song and maybe it gets taken in a different direction. Maybe we add a chorus of another song here, and all that's very important to be able to flow with that. So as a worship pastor, that's huge for me. All right, if you have made it this far, please drop a like, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment if you're new. Let me know if you're learning anything from this. But the next two are probably the most important out of all of these. If you were kind of meh in these other categories, but you really nail these last two, if it were me, I would give you a shot. And it's going to be a lot simpler than what you might think. So the next one, are you coachable? And are you able to be mentored? We do not expect our musicians to know everything out the gate. Because even if, say they are like a concert pianist level piano player, right? Again, every church is going to be different. They're going to operate different. There's going to be different expectations. And that is okay. Bring what you have to the table. The only thing that you need to be able to do, as long as you have the skills that we've mentioned before, even if on a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 3 or a 4, maybe a 5, bring them and let us coach you. That is part of what we do. You know, a lot of people see the title worship pastor as just a title, but it's really far greater than that. And my worship pastors out there will probably agree with this. Well, not probably, I know they will. It's more than just getting up and leading songs every week. It's more than just being able to play with a band or to sing with a band. But it's leading your team. It's leading your people. So not only are you getting people in the frame of mind to engage in worship every week, but you also have to be able to coach and mentor those who are working alongside you. And that's the pastoring part of it. You have to be a shepherd in that regard. I don't expect my people to just be self-sufficient and we practice songs and then we do them. There may be things that I want to do different. There may be certain songs that I feel the Holy Spirit has really prompted me to bring this to the team, and not only to bring this to the team, but maybe I even talk about the song. So I have done that before, where I have showed up to practice and I've had this song where I've had the team rehearsing for the couple weeks prior to, and I'll go, hey guys, this is what I feel like the Holy Spirit is really trying to do in this moment, in this hour. Let me share that with you. And you would be surprised how that will change how they sing. It will change how they play. But again, can you be coachable? Because sometimes a musician may do something that doesn't fit how exactly it is that I am envisioning and how I feel like the Lord is prompting me to do a certain song a certain way. Are you going to take offense to that? Or are you going to be like, okay, well, you explain to me how you want it to be done, and we'll see to it that it gets done that way? Because that is huge. Because if you can work with me and I can work with you, and it creates this good relationship and it allows us to build chemistry, like the rest of it, we can work on the rest of it. But I need somebody that's coachable, that I'm able to mentor along the way. That's huge. All right, and last one. If you do not have this, the rest of it does not matter at all. Are you ready? Here's what it is. Do you live a life that is holy and acceptable unto the Lord? As a worship pastor, again, it is my job to be a shepherd unto those who work with me, right? So, you got the pastors, the lead pastor who's pastoring the flock of the house. And yes, he is the pastor of my team. But also as a worship pastor, there is being a shepherd in that regard too. And I have to protect the people I have on my team. This is not a way for me to say, I'm calling anybody a hypocrite or anything like that. I wish everybody would come to the saving knowledge of who he is. I wish everybody would accept the free gift of salvation. Like, throw everything else aside. If you and I do not live a holy life, if you and I do not live for Jesus, why are we doing any of this? But the fact is, if that part is not checked, it can create issues on the back end, whether it be for you as the musician or for other people around. Because let's just be honest, we all know stories of church hurt and backbiting. It's because people are in positions and in places they shouldn't be because their life does not declare the word of the Lord. The Bible says that you will know a tree by the fruit that it bears. And unfortunately, we have a lot of trees that are not bearing fruit. I know it's harsh. I know it may seem like I'm trying to beat you over the head, but I'm not. I'm telling you this because I love you. And I want to see you do well. I want to see you prosper. But I also want to see his kingdom come and for his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is primary, that is priority for me. For his kingdom to come, for his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so I need my people to live a life that is holy. And I'm not saying perfect. Nobody on this earth is perfect. The only one who on this earth was perfect was Jesus himself. However, we need to strive for holiness. We need to live a life that reflects what it is that we believe. And if you're watching this and that strikes a nerve with you, I'm not saying this to call you out. Again, I tell you this because I love you. And I am telling you that you need to run to Jesus as hard and as fast as you can. Because at the end of the day, none of it matters. None of it matters if you don't have a relationship with him. So, all that being said, I hope you learned something from this. Let me ask you, please put it in the comments. Where do you find yourself in this checklist? Did you check all the boxes? Did you check some of the boxes? Did you check none of the boxes? Let me know areas that you need to improve, because guess what? When you comment it, we're going to do a video on it, or videos, and we're going to get you ready. Because again, I want you to prosper. I want you to do well. If you feel it in your heart that you want to learn to play the piano and play on your church's band, I want to help you get there. So let me know what you need improvement on. Leave it down in the comments below. And guys, lastly, I just want to, again, tell you about my lessons that I do on the side here. If you want one-on-one lessons with me, I do them through Zoom, and I would love to connect with you, and I would love to work at your pace and get you where you really want to go. Now, I get it. The videos may be enough for some. Others may be wanting more. If you want more, click the link in the description, schedule an appointment with me, and let's get to it. Also, I left a link for my Facebook page down below. If you would, go show that page some love too. And I just want to say thank you so much for the support that you've shown over the last little bit that Heart of David has been a thing. It's incredible. Like, I don't know what happened, but I went from like 30 subscribers to now we're at almost 200 in less than 2 weeks. So you guys are amazing, and I appreciate it so much. And Father, thank you for giving me the platform, for blessing me with people who have an ear that hears. Father, all glory, honor, and praise belongs to you. But guys, thank you for sharing and for commenting and being engaged throughout this process. I've absolutely loved it. This is only the beginning, and I'm still learning, guys. So if there's something that you want me to talk about, maybe you want more videos like this where there's not much playing involved, but it's just talking about certain issues when it comes to like the worship department, or maybe you have questions on how you would handle certain things. Because again, I've been doing this a while, and I've dealt with multiple scenarios and things that have happened and things that weren't always comfortable. So if you want more videos like this, or maybe it's just more of a sit down and hey, let's chat kind of thing, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. But guys, that's it for this one. Stay tuned for next week. Next week, we will be back on normal schedule on Monday with the videos. I apologize for this one coming out later with the Easter holiday and everything, and just kind of throwing everything for a loop and with work. And yeah, so it got pretty crazy there for a while. But guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you learned something here. Please, 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 please let somebody know about Heart of David. Let's see if we can get this thing to continue growing. But guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. God bless.